All right, it is now 4 days until Christmas. Yeah, four horsemen, 4 days. 4 days until Christmas, and I've got another Christmas movie to talk about for you today. Today we have A Christmas Horror Story. Um, Man, A Christmas Horror Story. What to say about this movie? This is one of my friends got me for Christmas 3 years ago, 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember how many years ago it was. But he got this for me for Christmas because it stars William Shatner as a radio DJ. He had watched it and thought Shatner was so amusing, he knew I would think it was amusing. So he got me a copy of this movie for Christmas. Basically, it is an anthology horror film a la Trick or Treat. I think Trick or Treat is still a superior movie, but this one does a very good job with what it is. It tells 4 stories with William Shatner kind of acting as the wraparound. The 4 stories in the order of the one I like the least to the one I like the most. One story is about a family. The father is a former police officer who had a traumatic experience the Christmas before. That's part of the interconnected nature of this movie. His experience connects with one of the other stories. And him, his wife, and his young child go into the forest to cut down a Christmas tree. Their child gets separated from them. They eventually find him. He begins acting weird. You find out that the child is actually a changeling, which is a creature that lives in a tree that can take the shape of young children. And that's what it is. The changeling ends up murdering the father, gets captured by the mother, and returned to the woods. It's not a great story. It's fine. It's fine in the context. Like, they can't all be A-plus stories. You have to have, the one that lets you kind of think about the rest of the movie that's going on. Because this is one of those, like, you get a piece of story 1, and a piece of story 2, a piece of story 3, and then a piece of story 4, and then it'll go back to story 2, and the movie doesn't just follow one story and then moves on to the next story. It's intercut within the stories, which is a cool feat, because it does, if you're not liking a story, literally in 2 to 3 minutes, you'll probably be on one of the other stories. The next story I'm going to talk about is about a family who is on their way to visit their aunt for Christmas. She has a couple of really old figurines, one of Santa, one of Krampus. One of the kids, it's a mother, a father, and their older daughter, and younger son. The younger son breaks a Krampus figure. The aunt then kicks them out, and they're pursued by Krampus, who begins picking them off one at a time until only the daughter is left. She ends up getting back to her aunt's house, where she kills the Krampus, and it's discovered that the Krampus is actually the aunt's butler. When confronted, the aunt says that Krampus can enter anyone who allows Krampus in, as the same way as the Christmas spirit can fill someone, Krampus' spirit can fill someone. The daughter then realizes the aunt had set them up to draw Krampus away because she knew her butler was going to be infected by it, and so she sent the family off so Krampus would go after their dysfunctional family instead of her. This ends with the daughter allowing Krampus in, and you can pretty much figure out where that goes. The next story is about 3 high school students who break into their school during Christmas break to film a documentary for a class about a pair of students who were murdered the year before in the basement. That is where the cop had his traumatic experience, because it's very supernatural elements involved, and it screwed with him. The kids eventually get locked in the basement, and you hear the story of that the school used to be a nunnery where they would hold single mothers and perform abortions, and one of the girls was 15 years old, said she was impregnated by God, that it was a virgin birth, and eventually she aborted her own baby and died. She has now been luring people into the basement to try to bring her baby back to life. The year before, 2 male and female students went into the basement and would not fulfill this activity, so she murdered them both. The girl of this group is possessed, begins trying to seduce both guys to conceive a baby. Eventually, it is successful. Both guys are killed, and she's allowed to leave because she now has the baby inside of her. The final story of this foursome of stories, this 4-pack, is about it takes place in the North Pole. It is Santa fighting zombified elves who have all been infected by something. It's really fun because it's literally Santa just murdering elves. And the one thing I'm not, because I kind of spoiled all three of the other stories, I'm not going to spoil how this story ends, because this is the one that's really worth seeing. And it's definitely the one that has the most unique ending, and the one that makes you go, what the hell, the most. It's the one that really sold this movie for me on being good. And then you have William Shatner doing his stick, which is hilarious. So, Christmas Horror Story, definitely worth checking out. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's worth it. Alright, well, we have one more movie to talk about. Beyond the normal Wednesday video, there will still be one bonus video of me talking about a Christmas movie. So there are 2 videos getting posted tomorrow. I'll stagger the postings, so they're both not going up at the exact same time. Other than that, hit subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and I will see you tomorrow with one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies.